On March 31st, 2025, the Athletics hosted the Chicago Cubs in the first ever Major League Baseball game at Sutter Health Park. Chicago crushed them, winning by a score of 18-3, highlighted by catcher Carson Kelly hitting for the cycle while driving in 5 runs. It's certainly one of the most disappointing stadium debut games of all time, but arguably not the worst. For this video, I'd like to take a look at a similar game that took place. An absolute bloodbath of a home opener that featured a number of interesting moments. It's April 18th, 1991, exactly 34 years ago from this video's upload date. The Chicago White Sox are set to host the Detroit Tigers in the first ever game at New Comiskey Park, now known as Rate Field. I still can't believe that's the new name of the stadium, but I digress. Entering this game, the White Sox had a solid 6-1 record, while the Tigers had a 4-4 record. Still too early in the season to determine anything, but entering the season itself, both teams had positive expectations. The White Sox were coming off a fantastic campaign in 1990, where they had a record of 94-68, but unfortunately missed the playoffs as they finished in second place. They looked to compete in 1991 and made several signings and acquisitions in the offseason. Most notably, they signed veteran starter Charlie Huff in free agency and acquired future Hall of Famer Tim Raines in a trade with the Montreal Expos. Oh, and they signed a little-known athlete by the name of Bo Jackson. Maybe you've heard of him. As for the Tigers, they were coming off a lackluster 79-83 record in 1990. That might seem unimpressive, but it was a 20-win increase from 1989 when they went 59-103. Detroit featured one of the game's best sluggers in Cecil Fielder. He led all of Major League Baseball in home runs and RBIs, hitting 51 homers and driving in 132 runs, all en route to a second-place finish for the American League MVP award in 1990. The Tigers scored the second most runs per game on average in 1990, and certainly seemed like a favorite to boast the best offense in all of Major League Baseball for 1991. Moving on to the game itself, Jack McDowell took the mound for the White Sox. He was fantastic so far this season, as in 2 starts, he threw 2 complete game victories, allowing only 2 runs while striking out 20. Overall, he was coming off a decent season in 1990, a 14-9 record with a 3.82 ERA and 101 adjusted ERA across 205 innings pitched. The Tigers threatened early, putting 2 runners on base with 1 out, but McDowell induced 2 flyouts to escape the jam without allowing a run. On the mound for Detroit was veteran starter Frank Tanana. Unlike McDowell, Tanana struggled so far in this young season, allowing 8 runs in 13 2/3 innings pitched. He was also coming off the worst season of his career, as in 1990, he went 9-8 with a 5.31 ERA and 75 adjusted ERA across 176 1/3 innings. He got off to a great start though, striking out 2 batters and working around a 2-out single to keep the White Sox off the scoreboard. After both pitchers exchanged scoreless second innings, things quickly came off the rails for McDowell in the third. With a runner on third and 1 out, Alan Trammell singled into right field to score Travis Fryman and give the Tigers a 1-0 lead. Following a walk to Lou Whitaker, Cecil Fielder came to the plate with 2 runners on base. Fielder did what he does best and blasted the pitch into deep right field for a 3-run home run. It was his first of the season, and suddenly, Detroit had a 4-0 lead over Chicago here in the third. Pete Incaviglia walked after the homer, and with Mickey Tettleton at bat, he hit a tailor-made double play ball to first base, but neither the first baseman nor the pitcher covered the bag, and he reached on a fielder's choice. What should have been an inning-ending double play turned into new life for the Tigers, and they took immediate advantage. Rob Deere stepped to the plate now, and with McDowell ahead in the count, Deere crushed the pitch into left field for a home run of his own. Just like Fielder, it was also his first homer of the season, and in the span of 8 batters, the Tigers put up 6 runs. As Deere came in to score, White Sox manager Jeff Torborg went to the mound and took Jack McDowell out of the game. His final line was 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 6 runs, and 0 strikeouts. Reliever Brian Drummond came in to pitch, and he would get Travis Fryman to fly out to Lance Johnson in center field for the third and final out. Heading to the bottom of the third, the Tigers led 6-0. The White Sox failed to score in the bottom half, and Detroit kept pouncing on the Chicago pitching in the fourth. Tony Phillips led off with a triple, and Alan Trammell followed him. He singled into left field to drive home Phillips, giving Trammell 2 hits and 2 runs batted in on the afternoon so far. After the single, Lou Whitaker doubled, and Cecil Fielder drew a walk that loaded the bases with nobody out. Going back to the previous inning, Brian Drummond has faced 6 batters and only retired one of them. He would get the next batter out as Pete Incaviglia grounded to shortstop for the first out of the inning, driving in Trammell for the Tigers' 8th run of the game. Mickey Telton followed suit and lined the ball into left field for a hit. Whitaker scored, and Fielder likely would have been thrown out at the plate, but the throw from Corey Snyder in left field was airmailed, allowing Fielder to score and Telton to advance to second. Jeff Torborg had seen enough again and made another pitching change, taking out Drummond. Ken Patterson came in from the bullpen for the White Sox, but that didn't stop the Tigers' bats one bit. Rob Deere was Patterson's first assignment and promptly hit his second home run of the ballgame. A missile that somehow got over the wall, Deere's second blast propelled the Tigers to a commanding 12-0 lead here in the top of the fourth. If you thought that would be it for Detroit, you would be well mistaken. After the home run, John Shelby reached via an error, and Travis Fryman walked to put 2 runners on base for Tony Phillips. As mentioned before, he started this inning with a triple. He didn't hit another triple, but he did do this.
And he hits it high in the air to left field. This ball is carrying well, way back, and this one's gone.
I have no idea how to check, but I'm guessing only a few players have ever hit both a triple and a home run in the same inning. Add 3 more runs to this bombardment, and the Tigers now lead by a score of 15-0. Entering this game, Phillips was only 2 for 29 on the season, and now doubled his hit total in the span of 4 innings. A career day for the designated hitter, and somehow, the Tigers were still not done. Trammell and Whitaker followed with back-to-back singles, bringing Cecil Fielder to the plate. He wouldn't hit another home run, but did line the ball to center field for the 3rd straight single, driving home Trammell and giving Detroit their 10th run of the frame. The 1991 White Sox were looking like the 2024 White Sox here. After the Fielder RBI single, Patterson struck out Incaviglia and received a round of applause from the crowd.
Sox have been blowing out of the game. You hear the roar of the crowd as Incaviglia strikes out and a standing ovation. In he goes.
Spoiler, but that's about as animated as the crowd would get all day. Following the strikeout, Patterson induced a groundout, and after 10 runs, 15 batters, and over 26 real-time minutes, the top of the 4th inning finally came to a close, with the Tigers crushing the White Sox 16-0. Allowing that many runs at home really does not happen often, so I had to look into it. The White Sox played at their previous ballpark, Old Comiskey Park, for 81 seasons from 1910 to 1990. According to StatHead, the team played 6,293 games there. Chicago allowed 16 or more runs there just 29 times, which is 0.46% of all games, or exactly once every 217 instances. At least the White Sox did something historical in New Comiskey Park's opener. Going back to the game, prior to the bottom half of the 4th starting, Detroit manager Sparky Anderson took out multiple starters to rest them in this blowout. Fielder and Fryman all came out of the game, as would several others from both sides in the next few innings. Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, and Rob Deere would eventually be taken out as well as the game progressed. That all might sound trivial, but it'll become relevant in a moment. Before getting to that though, lost among the hitting parade was the dominance from Detroit starter Frank Tanana. He threw 3 scoreless innings so far and proceeded to throw back-to-back 1-2-3 innings in the 4th and 5th. In the 6th, he did allow a couple of base runners, but got Matt Murillo to ground out to keep Chicago off the scoreboard. More of the same in the 7th. Tanana induced 2 groundouts and a flyout for his 3rd 1-2-3 inning. Through 7 innings, the Tigers still led 16-0, and Tanana had only allowed 5 hits, with all of them being singles. We now head to the top of the 8th, and there's several things going on in this inning that I'd like to discuss. First and foremost, yes, we see another relatively unknown player appear in this game. For those who don't know, a motif of mine is to point out players who had short careers but still were a part of a notable game or moment. Due at bat to first here in the 8th was Luis de los Santos, who came in as a defensive replacement for Travis Fryman at third base. De los Santos only had 150 plate appearances across 55 career games, with this game in particular being one of the last he ever appeared in. If anyone's curious, he has a career 547 OPS and 54 adjusted OPS. Secondly, due up second in the inning was Tony Phillips. With 3 hits on the day, he hit a liner off Frank Thomas's glove for a single. It was his 4th hit in 6 at-bats after starting the season 2 for 29. His average went from .069 entering the game to .171 afterwards. Lastly, and most notably, something very rare happened after Phillips' hit. So rare, you might have missed it in the box score if you weren't paying attention. For you see, Frank Tanana was coming to bat. Yes, a pitcher was going to bat in an American League game in the designated hitter era. 1991 was the 19th year of the designated hitter's existence, and entering this game, only 53 times had a pitcher batted in an American League game. In the past 10 years prior to 1991, it only happened 14 times. Naturally, you can probably figure out why this happened. The game was so out of reach, and Sparky Anderson wanted to bench another starter to avoid injury, he had the designated hitter take over a position, forfeiting the DH and letting his pitcher bat. This was Frank Tanana's 544th game of his career and his first plate appearance. His entire career so far had only been for American League teams. As for the at-bat itself, he did as well as you'd think. The first pitch he saw, he made contact, fouling it off into the stands on the left field side. The second pitch fouled off his foot. The third pitch, a swing and a miss. It might not have looked good, but at least he gave it his best. After the game, Tanana said on his at-bat, "I batted in spring training when we played some National League teams, but it's the first time I batted in a real game since I was in the minors before they had the designated hitter. Maybe 1972. The way I looked, it might be a long time before I get to bat again." It's kind of ironic how the Athletics game last month also featured the same thing. If I had a nickel for every stadium debut game where a team scored at least 16 runs and forfeited their DH, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. After the Tanana at-bat, the game quickly finished without much else occurring. Neither team ended up scoring after the 4th inning, and Frank Tanana finished his masterpiece by throwing a complete game shutout. 7 hits, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. As for the 2 teams, they finished the season with near identical records, 84 wins for the Tigers and 87 for the White Sox, but both also finished in second place and would miss the playoffs. As for Frank Tanana, 2 years after this game, he signed with a National League team and would eventually get to bat an additional 63 times in his career, collecting 9 hits. He'll forever hold the distinction of getting to bat as an American League pitcher in New Comiskey Park's debut game.